So this popped up in my recommended, The Insanity of Fire Force's Power System. And it's made by a YouTuber that I never heard of before. It's a new channel. So I love power systems and I don't know anything about Fire Force because I dropped it. So I want to watch The Insanity of Fire Force's Power System because I'm just curious, because from what I saw, didn't really have much of a power system.
A poorly structured power system could cause an unimaginable amount of problems throughout the story. But a well-structured one can enhance a series to be far greater than it would be without it.
True, also.
There are a ton of great power systems such as Ki from Dragon Ball, Nen from Hunter x Hunter.
Really? Ki is a good power system?
Ki from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Really? Reiki is a good power system? God, I'm kind of scared. I'm a little spooked.
Or stands from JoJo's.
Yeah, stands are awesome.
For a while, I honestly didn't have a favorite power system until I closely inspected one of my favorite anime and manga of all time. Fire is my favorite elemental power, and probably my favorite type of power an anime character can have.
Okay.
A lot of my favorite characters have pyrokinesis of some sort.
Okay.
Hiei has it, Sasuke has
Sort
it,
of.
Sanji has it, Sabo is fire, Endeavor
Okay.
has it, Roy Mustang has it, you get the gist. There are many
Okay.
ways you can use
Okay.
fire, such as commanding a dragon that incinerates anyone you hit, putting fire on a sword, shooting it from your mouth, shooting it from your eye, covering a single body part to enhance your stats,
Okay.
burning through time, I guess? I don't know, I haven't seen Fairy Tail.
Not a good example of fire powers.
Even with all of these ways to use fire, there's no way you could center an entire story around the concept of heat and fire without the powers getting stale or repetitive, right? Wrong. Without further ado, this is The Insanity of Fire.
What? Just muted. What just happened? Why did it mute?
By Atsushi Okubo, my favorite manga.
Dude probably got copyrighted. Probably used copyrighted music. I am willing to hear what you have to say about Fire Force's power system. Because to be frank, from what I saw, it did not look good. And I'm a little nervous because you compared it to Dragon Ball was one of the greats. And it's not one of the greats.
Mangaka of all time. And the power system in Fire Force only further cements just how great I think he is.
Okay.
The pyrokinesis in Fire Force can be split up into 4 categories. First, second, third, and fourth generation pyrokinetics. First generations are monsters called Infernals. Infernals are what happens when a regular unpowered person is consumed by flame, or at least that's the best way I can explain it without spoiling like the big reveal of the manga. In most cases, when a person becomes an Infernal, they lose all sense of self, but they gain an incredibly tough body and basic pyrokinetic abilities. In rare cases, when an Infernal retains its sense of self, it's slightly stronger than a regular one since it's capable of a higher level of thinking.
Interesting.
Then at the very top of the Infernal hierarchy is a Demon Infernal. Demon Infernals are recognized by the horns somewhere on their head and have increased firepower and durability. These are incredibly hard to kill, requiring firepower on the level of Benimaru, the strongest fire soldier, to take one out. The second generation pyrokinetics cannot create their own fire, but can control the properties of any existing fire, whether it be tiny sparks or entire explosions. I'll dive more into this one later. It seems tame, but I promise this shit is ridiculous. Third generations can create and control their own fire. This is the generation that dominates most of the series, since a majority of pyrokinetics shown are third gen. I imagine you can see just how overpowered this generation can be, but it gets even crazier. Fourth generation pyrokinetics are the last and final gen we will be talking about. Fourth gens are the people who not only have an Adola burst, but have to receive grace from a godly being that lives in Adola, which is Fire Force's hell. The common theme shared between all 4th gen pyrokinetics is that they can mess with something involving the laws of physics, but I will dive into this later. There are only 3 4th generations in the entire series, which is good because these guys are absolutely overpowered. Since I already gave an explanation on the abilities of first generations, we can move.
Okay, so far, we split up the power system that this fire energy can be utilized in 4 ways. It's split up into different categories. Dude, explain how this is better than Nen, okay? Like, wow.
Straight to the second generation. Second gens are extremely versatile and useful as they are almost a complete counter to third gens, being able to use their own fire against them. In order to get a grasp on the versatility of second gens, let's look at a few notable abilities. Hinawa is the lieutenant of Special Fire Force Company 8 and specializes in using his ignition ability through guns. Hinawa is able to control the power of an explosion caused by gunpowder to increase or decrease the velocity of a bullet he has shot. This is only one of his abilities. The next is called trajectory control,
so there are
which
many
allows
different
him
ways
to curve his
manipulate
bullets after they've been shot using the heat that's on the bullet. Lastly is ricochet control, which allows him to use the sparks from a bullet that has missed its target and
That's
redirect it.
dope.
Since he now is a 2nd gen, he can use any fire that has already been ignited, which means that he can use any fire that a bullet comes across to further accelerate it, turning a regular rifle bullet
That's
into
really
something
cool.
like a small missile. With enough firepower provided, he has once put out enough energy to destroy a demon inferno.
Damn. That's pretty cool. Not gonna lie, that's cool.
Kadon's ability is pretty simple. He's built different, so he can take almost any attack imaginable, and what he does is he absorbs kinetic energy. He can also absorb just fire, and he converts it into heat energy, and can output it as a fire or an explosion. On the surface, he seems like a 3rd generation since he can seemingly just generate fire, and even if his opponent does figure out his ability and stops hitting him, he can turn any kinetic energy into heat. Ability in 4 distinct.
That's really interesting. I like that idea that, like, you know, the 3rd gens aren't just stronger than the 2nd gens. Here you have this guy who's a 2nd gen, and he's just incredibly broken.
ways.
I actually like that idea.
As the name suggests, he screams walk, and then every step he takes outputs a ground-shaking explosion. This can be used as crowd control.
To say the least.
This is a close to mid-range move and is basically just an explosion.
You claps and uses the kinetic energy. That's funny. Like, it looks like he's producing the flames, but he's just manipulating the heat from the kinetic energy of him clapping his hands. That's a cool idea!
Snap is another close range move. It's kind of like clap, but it can be activated faster.
Alright, same idea. Alright, we get the gist.
It's
That's
just
this
another
guy's
explosion.
gimmick. Alright, it's his gimmick. Okay.
Snap is basically the
Same
instant
thing.
transmission Kamehameha from Dragon Ball. He gathers a fireball in his hands and pretty much teleports to his opponent's face and blasts them. Kadon's uppermost limits he has shown in the anime so far is when he absorbed and reflected a fire blast that was strong enough to put a noticeable crater in the moon, and he stood up after it.
What? Oh my god! Damn.
Kareem's ability is probably the most
But he's not gonna explain how he teleported? Bro, he had this whole thing that he can, like, instant transmission Kamehameha. How did he teleport? That's not Fire Force power system. That's anime bullshit.
interesting 2nd generation ability in the series. He uses an instrument to absorb fire and changes its properties into sound. After repeating this process over and over, the heat being absorbed is put out as ice. So he turns fire into ice. He's able to freeze things as small as sparks all the way up to
this
a
is a
fire
2nd
tornado
gen.
that
That's
carries
crazy.
enough power to kill a demon inferno almost instantly.
That's cool.
Maki can give her flames sentience. Specifically, she makes 2 fireballs called Sputter and Flare. She could put these 2 into a machine called Teki,
I've seen some good hentai of Maki.
which extends her range and can be used as projectiles. Maki is also incredibly adept at redirecting fire, going so far as to be able to temporarily hold back a blast strong enough to destroy the entire Tokyo Empire at her strongest.
Damn.
She can also completely extinguish flames that aren't too strong for her. However, if a flame is too strong for her, she can just make it her own sentient flame.
That's sick.
3rd generation abilities are the strongest and most versatile in the series. As I said earlier, they can create and control their own flames to an extent. Let's take a look at some notable 3rd gen abilities.
Okay.
Our deuteragonist Arthur uses his
I'm noticing one point. It's like these powers are all purely, you know, physical, or like what you're born with. And I'm sure you could train them to some degree. But it seems like a lot more you were born with this power, and therefore, if you're not born as a 3rd gen, then you're just toast, you know? If you look at other good power systems like in FMA, a lot of it comes with the mental stress, you know, figuring it out. Like Quirks. I think Quirks is not a good power system. It's a gacha system of getting superpowers. Now, one thing that Nen does so right is this concept of even if you don't pull the best draw and have the strongest inborn Nen powers, through conditions, you could become an absolute badass. And these conditions are fueled by how far you're willing to go to constrict yourself. Like, Gon gets his big power up to beat Pito. He is weaker than Pito. But through the condition that he made, the conditional fact that he was willing to give his life up it made him much stronger. Hisoka, his Nen is not that good, and he's still one of the most terrifying characters in the series. That's what makes Hunter x Hunter's power system so good. It works so well and fits with the emotional beats of the story, the logical beats of the story, and also, it's not just purely drawing straws. I like when you have a series that, you know, they can play around with their powers, because obviously, you know, curving bullets and stuff like that. He came up with that. So I do like that. I don't know. So far, I don't think it surpasses the levels of depth and versatility that so many other power systems have.
Fire as a sword, but not in the way that someone like Hiei does. Arthur superheats his flames until they become plasma and directs them through an empty hilt. This plasma is strong enough to cut through metal and generate electricity.
What?
Later in the manga, Arthur is able to manifest a plasma cape that can defend against fire attacks. His plasma abilities also make him immune to the powers of the next character I'll be talking about.
Dude just has a lightsaber. Had some nice side boob.
Haumea,
I don't know about this power system, but that side boob is kind of fire.
Is an electric shock user, which means she uses lightning. Haumea is more of a support fighter than a brawler, so her abilities are more geared towards that. Her most basic ability is that she can control multiple people by using electricity. She has two more distinct abilities.
That's insane.
Haumea uses this ability to communicate with her teammates by projecting her thoughts into their heads. Unfortunately, as
Bro, she really is the Azula of Fire Force.
And the
What?
rest of her powers can be completely cancelled out by Arthur. She uses this ability to read the minds of her teammates. This ability is a side effect of her electric nature and thus is always active.
Damn.
Haumea has two more unnamed abilities. One is a seemingly passive electric shield that deflects bullets and keeps her from getting directly hit by Arthur. She can also use electromagnetism to attach herself to metal objects with a string of electricity and swing from them like Spider-Man.
Damn. I've seen some good hentai of Tamaki.
Tamaki uses her ignition ability to give herself a pink fire cat cloak. In its final form, she sprouts a pair of tails, 2 ears, claws on each finger, and a large pair of cat eyes. This cloak greatly buffs her speed and agility, making her extremely hard to hit. She also has an above average...
Dude, this is the freaking Ninetales cloak! They literally ripped this off Naruto! Look, this is 2 tails.
Speed and agility, making her extremely hard to hit. She also...
This is the full Kurama mode. This is straight up ripped right out of Naruto, except she has much bigger boobs, so therefore she's better.
Has an above average resistance against fire, especially for a 3rd gen. She doesn't really get much of an attack buff from this form, so she doesn't really have any notable attack feats besides this fireball that looks like a Rasengan.
Dude, that's Rasengan!
Ogun's first ability allows him to make weapons out of his fire, whether it be spears, knives, or swords. These blades are capable of taking out normal infernos with ease. Ogun also uses his fire to propel a skateboard through the air. His main ability,
however, literally just for the sake of coolness,
is Flamey Ink. With this technique, Ogun tattoos himself with flames and buffs his strength, speed, durability, and endurance greatly. With this buff, he is capable of dominating a fight with a Demon Inferno and swapping hands with Kadon for some time.
Alright. That's cool, I guess.
Lisa is a minor character for most of Fire Force, but has a pretty interesting ability. Her ignition ability allows her to manifest flaming octopus tentacles that have magnetic properties.
Ooh.
She can lock onto the magnetic fields that human beings and machines give off. She doesn't really do much, I just thought her ability was cool enough to mention.
I've seen some good hentai of her.
Princess Hibana is the final 3rd gen we'll be talking about, and she probably has my second favorite catalog of abilities behind Haumea. Hibana can create fire flowers through a fan with her ability called Clematis. She can also manifest a giant flaming sakura tree, where the petals that fall from it are made of fire. She can direct those petals into a tornado that burns the opponent from all sides, trapping them in literal hell. Her last
just Byaku Yakuchiki with better hentai. Sign me up.
Major ability is called a Heat Syncope, which allows her to control the temperature surrounding her opponent's body. She can make them overheat and start to feel symptoms of vertigo while also completely extinguishing their ignition abilities.
Damn!
Now we can get to the 4th gen abilities. These are the crazy ass ones I was talking about before. To put things simply, 4th gens can just straight up defy laws of physics. I'll be diving into this soon. Since there are only 3 users, we will be going over all of them. Inca can see and smell fire explosions of thermal energy in general before they even happen. In the world of fire users, this makes her damn near untouchable unless she is blatantly outsped. She has an offensive ability as well. She sees lines that have a start and end goal attached to them. Once she drags her finger across these paths, they cause explosions. This is the most tame.
If this isn't marketing some random mobile game where you just drag your finger across the screen, boom. If this isn't some mobile game Mr. Beast marketing, I don't know what's going on. That is a wasted opportunity.
4th gen ability, but it's still stupidly overpowered. Show Kusakabe universe, creating a whole separate universe that only he can move in, and stopping time for anybody who isn't him. This is called Severed Universe.
Okay.
That's his only ignition ability, and it's all he needs because the shit is broken. He can do anything he wants inside of it.
Dude, I love how this video is just a montage of the main character getting absolutely bodied by every other character in the story.
Severed Universe, making this a one-hit kill move if he so pleases.
Of course the main character is 4th gen. You see, that's another thing about power systems. Don't give the main character the broken power.
The last 4th gen user is our main character, Shinra Kusakabe. Much like Inca, he is classified as a 3rd gen, but has a 4th gen ability. Shinra specifically, however, only gets his 4th gen ability when he's been graced by a being that lives in a dola. Shinra can use fire on his feet to enter light speed, but that's not—
To enter light speed?
Once he hits light speed, he surpasses it, causing his body to split into subatomic particles, and then those particles go back in time to rematerialize his body.
That's just cool for nothing. He's just fast. He's just doing Bleach Flash Step. And they made it, alright, also time travel.
When he is using this ability, he has enough power to defeat a Demon Infernal in less than 1 second, and can also see and experience events that have happened hundreds of years in the past. Shinra also has another form, but we'll save that for another day. Fire Force tackles pyrokinesis in an incredibly unique way that took my love for fire as an elemental power to a completely new height.
I agree.
It was incredibly risky.
You did a good job here explaining why it's a cool power system. Great power system? No. The best power system? Definitely not. Definitely in the mid-tiers of power systems.
You create a shonen series where your power system is focused around only a couple of concepts, such as fire and heat. But Atsushi—
a recommendation for everyone that likes this kind of power system and manipulation, you gotta watch World Trigger. Treon is an amazing power system.
Yokobo pulled it off and then some. This is 100% without a doubt my favorite power system in anime, and I don't think it'll be beat by anything anytime soon. I
just see Nen from Hunter x Hunter and Stans from JoJo's as the absolute peak. Like, there are a lot of good ones, but they are not even in the same realm as those two. I would say this is like a B tier power system. I would put Hunter x Hunter and JoJo's in S tier, without a doubt. Like, there's a full tier between them. Anyway, it was a good video. Thank you. Thank you for explaining it to me. I didn't really know anything about this power system, so I'm glad. Like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitch. Stay weird, fam.